Hello viewers, good afternoon. It's again the Business Xray show, and today we're discussing a topic which I'm very sure has really been on the lips of many Ugandans, and that is the issue of high commodity prices. And here we want to look at it both ways today. We want to look at it from the side of the households, or you can call them the consumers, but then also the side of the business community, the producers, because this challenge is now being seen on all fronts. If I may quote a statement from Minister of Finance, of course they mentioned some of the factors responsible for this reality we are contending with today. Some are external and others are internal. Now on the external front, we've seen, of course, the prices of crude oil jumping by almost 70% over the past 2 years. And then in the same breath, we've also seen supply chains being disrupted by COVID-19. So when you had a jump in demand for some of these essential commodities, the suppliers couldn't cope with that demand, or at least the logistics, which is supposed to ensure that these commodities are actually received where they're supposed to be received, get there. And then lastly, of course, we've seen the Ukrainian war. Ukraine and Russia are both major producers of wheat. Now, wheat is a major input in a number of household items. Talk of bread, talk of chapati, and of course, our own famous Rolex. So all these have come in and weighed in on the realities that we are contending with today. Now, the key thing is this: life has to go on, whether at the household level or at a business level. Businesses have to go on. Like we always say, business is a going concern, and you can't say that things have gotten this and that, we can't do business anymore, let's stop. Now, this show, this session is specifically dedicated to that. How do you cope under the circumstances? When it's rainy, so that you wait for the sunny day. Now, in the house today, I have two very important gentlemen. Our resident coach, Charles Ochichi, is around. Charles, you're most welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and I greet all the viewers of the NTV Business Xray show.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then we have Mr. Musoke Nagenda. Mr. Musoke Nagenda is the chairperson of CACITA. That's Kampala City Traders Association. Now, from the business community, we want to hear it, from really the horse's mouth, from where he sits, what he thinks should be the best way forward. And of course, trying to analyze and put this entire situation in context. Mr. Musoke, you're most welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, comrades. I think this is a very interesting topic, which we are going to analyze. I'm sure by the end of the show, we would have got something which can assist us to sustain and live happily in Uganda.
And we are happy to have you. Charles,
Yes.
Before we delve into the topic for the day, I don't know what has caught your attention in the week. Among the developments, of course, we've seen quite a number of, of course, fuel prices was one of the major discussion, especially diesel. For the first time, we've seen it breach.
Superseding.
Exactly. That is a boundary breached. We had never seen that happening. And a couple of other developments. I don't know what really touched you.
I think what has been clearly, sorry about this, something that has remained in every person's lips is the cost of living.
Yeah.
Whether you go to a mosque, whether you go to a church, whether you go to a political gathering, it could also be just a community gathering. The conversation is the same. It's getting more and more expensive to meet the basics of life. And as you almost hinted, yesterday I was in the city of Soroti, and I went to refuel my tank.
Yes.
So I see a price past 5,000. I said, no, what are you putting into my car? Is it petrol or diesel? He said, no, these ones here are for diesel. The petrol at the other side. I looked at the thing they normally put at the roadside, that signpost there, which now puts the prices there. For the first time, I saw something abnormal. Diesel was more expensive than petrol.
I hear you.
I said, and this is what we use the most to transport cargo to transport all the big items that we want to be transported, including our exports.
And the generators
diesel.
that run some of these operations.
Correct. It's diesel. So I just saw that and I said, we are living in uncharted territory. And it's time to really redial and get realistic about the issues that we are faced with.
Yes, yes.
Anybody who has been taking this as just a passing win must quickly realize that it's on us and we need to completely respond.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
And it's not the first time, Charles, that we are into this particular space. Remember when we began these sessions, we were in the middle of COVID lockdowns.
Correct.
And now you have, this would be like the icing of the crisis.
Correct, correct.
And I really believe that business principles actually now more than ever become very, very important for anyone to survive.
You touch an important point. And the important point, I think, a takeaway that people should take away from this is crisis with the ES at the end. In other words, multiple of them are going to be part of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
We thought the alpha and the Z of a crisis was COVID-19. It came, it went. Okay, at least for now, we have seen that it has almost gone off. This new one has come and it has hit us as if it's the biggest thing we have ever seen. So one thing that this brings out is you need to start embracing the principles for surviving a crisis. Why? No matter how dark, how deep the situation is, it will pass. Humanity will again prevail. But just listen, this last week, there were interesting headlines in the newspapers. Where now the message was, whoever tweaked and went into solutions that were fixing the COVID situation, they were now suffering on how to survive the irrelevance of COVID solutions. You have a lot of sanitizers. You have a lot of masks. Somebody is saying, I used to sell masks worth 100,000. Today, to get 10,000. Big problem. It got worse when the students went on holidays. So you can see how life is such an interesting thing. The other day we were all saying, please shift into COVID solutions. And production lines for garments and for whatever were tweaked to go there. That line is over. Now you are saying, how do I survive and reconfigure from a solution giver of COVID needs to now back to the other normal needs?
Beautiful. Indeed, that's actually quite spot on. And at this point, this is where I want to bring in Mr. Msoke here. You sit with the business community. You're part of the business community and you're a leader there. For starters, paint for us the situation. I know we've given the macro elements of it. But at operational level, CACITA, Kampala City Traders Association, among your members, how is the situation like? And like what Charles has said, it is time again now to reconfigure, you know, certain business models. Are the business people smelling the coffee, like they say?
Surely it's a very tricky situation currently in the business community. And we had several petitions because, you know, when you're a leader, they think you have solutions. And you cannot just come and say that you cannot find solutions. So we are trying to see how can we put confidence in our community. So what we did as CACITA, we had a special sitting with our executive. And then through that engagement, we decided to contact several government agencies. And then we petitioned the Minister of Finance, Minister of Trade, to see how can we find possible solutions and interventions. And furthermore, we set up a special desk to carry out research, to avail us with enough information. How can we transfer that information to our members and even Ugandans, because we as Kasita, it's Kasita Uganda by the way, and now we cover the whole of Uganda.
Beautiful.
We had to amend as now Kasita Uganda, and currently we have been working with several partners, including Enterprise Uganda and others, to make sure that we carry out several sensitization programs across the country. So with this, you know, the business community needs to be to have access to several information, which is very vital for survival. So with this desk, we thought it would be so vital. So currently, as we are trying to carry out that research, we got a challenge again, which we are trying to engage with the Uganda Revenue Authority about the new tax measures, because our concern as Kasita, given the current situation, when you bring in new tax policies, totally they will worsen the situation. And we are appealing to the government to slow down with new implementation of tax policies. I'm sure you are aware, they want to make sure that all goods are cleared from Mombasa and Dar es Salaam. So with this, we think that it will worsen the current inflation rate in Uganda, because it necessitates accessing expensive capital, like to clear taxes, or to meet your tax obligations. So they're implementing it in 2 phases. First of all, what we are seeing here was caused by that, partly, given other factors, but also the tax policy affected our members who are dealing in petroleum products and imports and fuel, because when we are trying to engage them, what is the problem? Can't we find possible solutions? So they have also that challenge. The new tax policy is affecting them, so it was also being transferred to the car importers. So you find that the way they are implementing it through phases to make sure that we, the business community, we cannot mobilize against those unfair policies. So later on, when we discussed with our members, we decided to let us engage Minister of Finance and then URA. Luckily enough, the Commissioner General responded, and we explained to him, because also he knows. He told us, okay, Kasita, we are partners now. If you have issues,
bring them.
Let us see how can we dialogue. How can we find possible solutions? So when the other time we petitioned the Minister of Finance, luckily enough, the response wasn't so good. And then furthermore, we petitioned the President about the current situation. Because our argument was, if the business community, we had challenges with rent areas, bank loans. So most of the sectors now, like you see, they're like schools. They are badly affected, bars. So we are trying to see how can they utilize the recovery fund through our partners, and then this fund for the government, the stimulus package.
Hold it there, Mr. Musoke. Charles, there's a very important point which Mr. Musoke here raises, and I think that's the issue of information. Because initially, you know, we're looking at bodies like Kasita as just so much on the advocacy side, and not really providing information to its membership, because even when you're advocating for something or when you're engaging, you have to engage from a point of information. And you know, like we normally say, you actually normally emphasize this, that where we are now, you can no longer do business by default.
Never.
It has to be, you have to be deliberate about certain engagements. I don't know, on the part or side of information, I don't know what you pick out of there for the bigger public, because you see, if you want to have a discussion, let's say with URA, you have to go with clear points of engagement.
Very good.
It's the same when you want to meet your bankers. He has talked about schools that were affected by COVID. Others had to have their loans restructured. We've had a topic specifically on that. I don't know what message we can pick from that to actually package for the viewers that are watching us, people in business, especially at this point in time?
Very good.
Because then we're talking about it against the background of disruptions caused by COVID.
Very good.
Now we are dealing with another chapter of a crisis, new reality again, reinforcing the old one.
Very good.
What do we pick from there?
It's a very important observation. Those who are religious, who read the Quran, who read the Bible, there's a statement in there which says, when a human being that was created and talking with God was asked a simple question, ask of me anything, and I'll give it to you. He said, give me wisdom. Wisdom is something that is backed with being grounded with the knowledge, with the skills, with information, with the data. The moment you achieve wisdom, decisions now are likely to be much more pragmatic, much more long-term than when you just say, oh, Kasita are complaining, let's do this now. You've done ad hoc reaction. Sober up, ask, give me information. Now, information, when it arrives, analyze it to see the trends, what has changed, what is beginning to hurt the community that never used to search for the Commissioner General. How come now at the desk of the chairman of Kasita, there's now one message all the time? Please, please, we are the ones who sustain government. We are getting choked. Receive that information, analyze it. Once you analyze that information, you're likely to take decisions that are going to be more embracing. Now, with that information, you are being a government body mandated to collect taxes, will now go to their supervising authority and contact the means of finance. That means of finance, you've given us targets to collect taxes. We are working at it. It is not going to be miraculous to collect taxes when the businesses are closing. They are asking for a breathing space of this kind of adjustment. We have analyzed the information. It makes sense. Can we adjust it? Your supervising authority, who also gave you targets for collection, will know that that decision temporarily will affect the what? The collections.
Collections, targets.
But it is affecting collections while allowing the businesses to survive and continue giving you taxes. Now, the supervising authority, that's the Minister of Finance, will say, yeah, this is reasonable. And the person who appointed me to this position, if I talked to him, he's also likely to say, this is very good. Do you know by doing that, you've allowed institutions to interact?
That's right.
You've allowed now the ultimate authority, the head of state, the other side, to react with a very informed, complete input from all the stakeholders, as opposed to saying, no, you people, we are URA, our mandate is to collect. We are not supposed to get involved. Look at what we have been told we are going to collect. Get that information, communicate. So once information has been received, who should be communicated to? Once that person has received the information, what action should you take? Then look at the bigger picture, and that one is a very key point I want to emphasize. Please, whatever we do today, you may be saying, no, if we did that, you know, the doctors want salaries. You know, we want to bring something for the hospitals. We want to do this. Let's look at the bigger picture. The doctors who are talking about are in our country. The hospitals are in our country. The roads that are bad that we are using, we are the ones using them. And we know that they cannot just be announced and they are there overnight. So humanity is full of rationality. Please, as a player in any space, do not break in getting your information across the different layers until the decision is taken. That decision, when it is now taken, it will be informed and all parties will be there. And then it's easier to own up than just, you know, the president likes meeting people directly. If you could also consult. Now, that is what we are trying to say. Let's avoid that kind of some people sitting at the sidelines and saying, you know, that's how it was taken. I wish Kasita had come to us. So I think appreciating information as Africans, even in a crisis, even when things are doing well, and using it to build knowledge, and that knowledge used to make decisions. Those decisions getting implemented begins to deliver the skills we're looking for. And that's where the wisdom begins to reside and become sustainable.
Beautiful. Again, I'll come back to you, Mr. Msoke, on this issue. One of the issues that Charles keeps raising, especially for businesses, is record keeping. And I know for the fact, like we've already stated, that this has been a tough period. Ever since we entered into the COVID season, I would call it season, 2020, 2021, we're in 2022, things have not been the same. We are reading a totally different script from what we used to read prior. And I would imagine that indeed on the books of many businesses that are keeping records, you'll find a long stretch of losses or generally poor performance. And now the question is, how good are our members? It's good you've mentioned the fact that you're now Kasita Uganda. It's no longer a Kampala thing. So I would imagine that behind you, you have quite a number of SMEs. And truth be told, many SMEs have been struggling to cross that bridge into being able to cope. Even simple books of accounts. And I know, I'm sure with your interactions with the taxman and other government agencies, sometimes words start and begin somewhere. But if you go there with records and say, my members are on fire, and this is the kind of fire, these are the numbers, I mean, it's self-explanatory.
Sure.
And I know, as a matter of fact, that URA collects on profit made.
Yes.
So how good have we been as Kasita in drumming that message of keeping books of accounts?
I think
it's very important.
I think like when I was explained to you before, and even our audience, I said that we have a serious sensitization drive.
Beautiful.
With our partners. We have Enterprise Uganda. We are working with them closely, Uganda Revenue Authority, because when we're having engagements with URA, they requested Kasita to be partners. Yeah. And for us, we thought that it was it's everyone's obligation as a Ugandan to make sure that we are supposed to meet our tax obligations. And what we decided, let us educate our traders. We had behind an interest or a motive of making sure that we can widen the tax base and the rate of compliance. It's like when more traders are sensitized and we change their perception, because perception is very, very key in traders. You know, the fact is that it's on record that traders, we are not so good at tax compliance. We want business behind doors. So someone thinks that when you cheat your tax obligation, you avoid your tax obligation, you're going to become rich. But currently, with the level of investment Uganda Revenue Authority has done in technology, they can easily track you down. Secondly, in order your business to grow and expand, you're supposed to meet your tax obligation, because you can clearly be identified. So what are some traders doing who are not ready to comply? They disguise that they are still small. That's why at times when we are engaging them, we tell them, no, you're supposed to expand. Let me give an example. We are trying to change the way some traders in markets perceive. They think that when you're in a market, you're supposed to die from the market, and then your story is supposed to be inherited by the son or daughter, and they become just so myopic with their mindset just there to work the raw markets. And that's why it's escalating several wrangles in all markets. We made a survey. Almost even if you go there and say, you know, I'm a leader in the business community, even they are not ready to listen to you. Because it's like you are interfering with their what? Income. They think that their survival is supposed to be in markets. But this is clearly tax avoidance. Because we have evidence that some of let me say that the leaders in those markets, they are big businessmen. with arcades, with the rentals, who are capable of even investing into value addition, of even investing in manufacturing. But these guys that are now here, I'm very comfortable. But in business, you're supposed to be aggressive, so that on every level, when you evaluate your worth, you're at least expanding and becoming stronger, even with capacity. But what we are trying to push is, can someone work in the market at least not over like for 10 years? That's too much. 5 years. Let us carry out sensitization. Because in Uganda, it's on record that people who are complying, they are overtaxed. And others, they don't pay taxes. So for us, we thought that we can assist URA to meet its target by sensitizing, and people change their perception so that it improves the tax compliance rate. So that's why we are doing more of the sensitization. And secondly, behind, we thought we as Casita, it was our obligation to make sure that businesses can survive. Because when a trader gets a challenge with URA, he's supposed to come here. But you know, my electorate is not so easy. One time, URA was making assessment around one day. So someone called me. Hello, Chair, now I have a challenge with this assessment. This was telling me that I'm supposed to pay 4 million, but I've been in lockdown. I told her, no problem. You come to Casita. We have a special desk. By the way, we are doing the filing, everything at a free cost.
Okay.
Because we thought that in order, as the leading business association, we have something to show our relevancy to the traders and the business community. So when I consulted our admin, has this lady come around? He said, no. I had to call her back. Hello, what happened? You know, I got a colleague now from URA. And the man is asking me just 200. So I've given him my 200. Now he has harmonized everything. So I told her, please, can you send me what he has done? Have you given him your TIN number? He said, oh no. I just told her someone has just cheated you. Because that's, you know, we have that perception that you're supposed to do everything behind doors or under the table. So, but we need to be more transparent currently. So, and we have to formalize. By the formalization, I told her, now let us make sure that your business is registered with this. Because now, like, I think the husband bought her a car, and then she accessed the TIN number. But she doesn't know the purpose of this TIN number. But then that's what even I told the Commissioner, you know, that we need to make sure that we seriously sensitize about the essence of the TIN number. In order not to wait this person who has got a TIN number to go into areas and fines, and then the essence of filing. And when we are trying to transfer the information to the traders, I told you, the way you sensitize is totally wrong. You are after file and declare your taxes. For me, I told them the way I perceive as Casita, as Musoke, we think that we are supposed to assist our traders to improve bookkeeping. Clearly show your income, your expenditure, and your profit. And this one, submit for URA, mainly for guidance, secondly, to improve your compliance. Because even now, like accessing the stimulus package, why are some people not accessing the stimulus package? They need tax clearance certificate. They need audited books. And by the way, which Casita currently is offering at a free cost to the traders.
Hold it there, Mr. Musoke. Viewers, we're going to take a very short commercial break. But as we go for the break, when we come back, because what is coming out quite prominently now is that as one of the ways you deal with a tough situation like the one we are contending with at the moment of high commodity prices or a higher cost of living, whether on the side of the producer or the users of these commodities, is that you can't avoid now to be unstructured. You can't do things haphazardly anymore. Whether at a household level, if you used not to have a budget at home, it's time now to get that pen and book and start back. But we'll pick it from there after this very short commercial break. Viewers, welcome back from that short break. Today we're discussing high commodity prices and how you manage, whether you're a household or whether you are a business. In the studio today, I have Charles Ochichi from Enterprise Uganda, a resident coach, and I have Mr. Musoke Nagenda, the chairperson, Kasita Uganda. It's no longer a body representing Kampala City traders, but it actually represents businesses that are willing to join it as members across the country. And again, before we went for the break, we're looking at how important structuring business operations is today more than ever before. I don't know what you pick from that, Charles.
Mr. Musoke has painted a good picture, and a picture that I want to unpack a few things. One, there are two entities that operate on legal principles which are enforceable in the courts of law family. One is the bank. You go to your banks, you borrow money, you are carelessly running your enterprise, you are making losses, or you are doing whatever you are doing, you are diverting resources left and right because you are unstructured. Never ever dream that the agreement you signed will be extinguished by your excuses. They will simply say, you came to us, you said you are going to have this kind of sales, you are going to be making these profits, it's you running this business. We want our money enforceable in law. So many people who have gone into banks and borrowed, even if you had to write off all the interest, and you tell them, bring me the document you took to the bank which indicated certain sales, which sales had certain assumptions, what's happening to those sales. The fellow will be verbally talking, qualitative conversation, no statistics. And you expect to run an enterprise that has borrowed using your daily qualitative conversation? Impossible. So, what does that do to you? The brain is clouded already by that kind of a partner who can enforce their rights in a court of law family. I bring the second one because I just want to tell the viewers that it is in your interest to get structured so that you redeem the brain, you redeem your focus to do the right thing to serve the customer. The day your banker is pursuing you using your documents, which documents you do not have the detailed backing records, that the brain can never think on how to serve the next customer, but how to cheat the next customer, how to cheat the next supplier. And you are beginning to get into a trap that will get out of business. Let's leave now the banking industry alone and let's go and look at the URA. URA is simply saying, we want to tax your profits. Your records are not adding up. We're going to make an estimated guess. And we're going to come up with our figures. If you have got alternative ones, bring them to us. And URA has got super powers to enforce that position.
Sure.
So don't even waste your time to try and fight it. Now, because you are now trying to get a way of trying to postpone an obligation with the tax body with its super legal powers, your brain again is switched off. How long will you continue running this business with this superpower who can even say, we have garnished your account, you cannot pick a shilling from there? We're also pursuing any other remittances that you are going to be getting, and we're going to tap into all of those. Your journey is closing in. So again, the moment you're in that scenario, the brain is off. The biggest asset for a business person is a sober brain. They talk of vision. Vision is having ability to see beyond the current circumstances. A person trying to dodge taxes, trying to dodge URA, to see beyond 6 months, impossible. You are seeing on what you can do today to get away to silence URA. You are seeing what to do today to get a bank, to get off your back. And what do? Go and put another application in another bank so that you get that loan from there so that you might try and what? Fix this one this way. But even banks now beginning to fix that one using the credit reference bureau. So things are getting tough and tight. The message I'm driving home is Good records let the entrepreneur to sleep. Good records make the entrepreneur to really offer that visionary outlook to things. Good records make the entrepreneur to supervise better. Because now you'll be saying, I want the sales of today. Well, they are here. Can they be in the bank? If they're in the bank, I want my monthly banking statement. I want to compare the daily deposits that you made in the last 30 days with the bank statement that I have here. So and so, can you do that? Structure is important to save your ad hoc nature of doing things, to make employees enjoy work. Because if you are ad hoc, the next day you are saying, it is you who is not good in this area, you now go this way. Poor fellow, he has not been listened to. He has a story to tell,
yes.
but you are not listening because it is the emotion of the day and who talked to you first. You have made a decision. Employees will be disgruntled. Delegation will be very difficult. Ability to open a second branch, impossible. Because for you to open that second branch, it should be such that systems, records make you to be absent, but you're able to see what's going on everywhere. In effect, in the situation where we are right now, one of the things you need to appreciate and know well as a business person is, what price can I charge and still be able to either break even, in other words, make no profit, make no loss, or at least begin to make some profit. You need to record all what they call variable costs and fixed costs. Do you know them? You have remembered the landlord because he's right in there. But you have got employees. Now you take advantage of those ones. Whom can they report me to? They cannot evict me. A landlord can evict you. Yeah. The employee cannot evict you. Poor fellow has been sacrificed. So you cannot begin to respond to pricing challenges when you don't have your full picture of all the records. So that you can now start saying, I have been getting a profit margin of 8%. The situation has become so bad. I want now to reduce my price a little or keep my price where it is, but now go for a margin of 3%. With this 3%, I will pass through this dark moment. But you know very well that you are covering all your costs and you're also having some bit of a profit.
Beautiful. You've broken the ice and then took us into the space where I want us to actually be at the moment, which directly now touches the topic for the day.
Yeah.
How best, and I come to you, Mr. Msoke, on this, would you advise a typical businessman in Uganda to ride this storm? It's a new storm that has come.
Yeah.
Because we've now seen the importance of having your records right. We've seen the importance of being, right with the regulator. And in this case, you have the taxman and others as well. URSB and the others, I would imagine. So what kind of advice would you give a business person who is watching us on how they can ride this storm at this particular point in time?
Okay, thank you.
Beyond that.
It's a very tricky question, but very vital to, I think, every Ugandan, not even just a businessman.
Yeah.
Because before I told you that luckily enough I was put on the committee to find possible solutions, how the government can find possible solutions or mitigate this current inflation. So through that we formulated some recommendations.
Yes.
First of all, I think they are also vital to the business community. We had requested for the short term the government to improve public transport. Because even for the trader, someone who helps you in the shop he uses public transport. So when the cost goes high, just know that you have to cater for that transport. Possibly, if you think that you can manage alone without that person, maybe otherwise you better talk to him. Because the problem, like Mr. Charles has said, when you don't cater for this employee, you don't motivate this employee, what will happen next is cheating you.
Yeah.
So you will not be trustworthy to you. But the moment you know that Musoke uses at least 5,000 per day on transport, then large. So let us find possible ways of cutting the cost. Even like we said about the returns, the advantage I'm seeing with the returns, that's why like when I'm teaching or sensitizing about the returns, I don't mainly focus on taxes, but it helps us to harmonize business operations, because clearly you know your income, your expenditures. So it's like a simple, it eases your budget, and you can easily know where can I cut my expenses. So with this we are supposed to analyze our expenses and possibly be dynamic. Where can I reduce on my expenses? And now like for my comrades who have been enjoying the commando so much, I think we can find possible alternatives, and we use our local available food, food, because like
cassava and sweet potatoes.
Yes, and what can we do? Because you know, I'm trying to see that how can you cut the expenses. Now like you're home, you buy bread on a daily basis, can't you use cassava for the meantime, because this is a temporary situation like COVID was. Exactly, that's what we are trying to sensitize during the COVID period, because we as Kasita, we used to give out some food relief to our members who are so bad off. But we used to tell them, please try to be so, you know, sometimes people can say you are mean, we businessmen, we are mean, but to try to cut, I don't know the best term to use, but to reduce our expenses as possible. So in cost management, there is a better term that at least you have to compute per cost on whatever you are spending clearly. So with these people, how people were able to survive. And then alternatively we told them, hello, please, now if you be home and you don't work, then you have problems, because even the money you saved, you are going to consume. So, but luckily enough, we had the strategy of diversification strategy. I think even in this, it can somehow assist in businesses, because like Mimus, okay, I have shops here in Kampala, but also now I'm venturing into hospitals.
You're diversifying.
Yes, I'm diversifying.
Now, we'll come back to that point. I don't want us to...
So somehow you can survive maybe the current situation.
Yes.
Even agriculture.
And I want us to emphasize that. But there's a point you mentioned on what do you spend on and what you can cut for now and then what you can involve. And Chelsea, this is where I want to bring you in. It seems Ugandans were, for lack of a better word, spontaneous spenders. And I need to mention, someone was actually making a joke of some of Mr. Musoke's members, especially, well, our colleagues in arcades and stuff. You know, someone passes with Nsenene, so at the end of the day, they've really sampled everything. And if you stretch it, even with bigger items, we tend to just pick and, you know, spend and move on. You look at something good, a nice suit, a nice car, even if this one is still serving you, you want to pick that. And again, it comes back to the issue, because, you know, record keeping, I think, goes beyond business.
Correct.
Or being structured, to even how we spend at home. I don't know what you can speak to that, Charles.
Very good. Let me start with the committee that has brought in Mr. Musoke on how to assist the country to sail through the high price zone that we're in, because we will get over it. One, it is common sometimes in such a committee setup to talk about these other macroeconomic things. Which, what can government do? What can government do? And the individuals caught in the situation are now saying, we're waiting for that solution. And Chairman, please make sure you tell the President, let him add more money to the COVID recovery fund. There are people who are not even managing to run any loan from any financial institution without COVID, without fuel crisis. But we're now imagining that they were okay. What's only challenging them now is the high prices and the COVID thing. So I want, when we look at solutions to assist a nation come out of a crisis, there is always a two-sided coin to it. There is the public reaction or response. Let's pursue it. Let's talk about it. Let's explore all of options that we can explore. There is something that can be done at the individual level, the household level, and a lot more lie here. That's why Warren Buffett, the second richest American, said, in times of a crisis, the best investment, the best responsibility lies with the person. Invest in yourself, invest on what you can do to swim across that thing. Largely for two reasons, and he was right. He said, the macroeconomic solutions, many of them come with the limitations. The government was saying, please now do this, has limitations. At some point, it will not continue doing it. We distributed money, food one time under COVID. To now try and do it again, very difficult, very, very hard, tough. We distributed some masks to try and say now, distribute some 10,000 for transport, because the same is related to transport. Just send some 10,000 to all the vulnerable fellows. Very tough. So the macroeconomic solution typically, one, it has limitations. Two, the timing is not as sure as you'd want it to be done. You want it now. They say, let's first do this. Let's now go and borrow from IMF. When can we have a meeting with IMF? When can the team travel to Washington? When can then my IMF will say, we also need to check how you have been making collections from here before we can give you a rescue package. You can see how the macroeconomic thing is typically not within the control even of head of state. So while this one can be talked about, put your points across, call the chairman of Casita, make your case. The moment that phone call is over, immediately go back and just say, what are my expenses? Now I need to develop a monthly budget to come to a point you have just been talking about. I've been spending on food, especially carbohydrates. That's where your chapati comes in, the wheat. I've been having a budget on carbohydrates of 200,000 per month. And it is because the carbohydrate I've been looking for is coming in form of wheat products. I'm going to look for a carbohydrate that will give me body carbohydrates, but should be cheaper than 200. What's the body looking for? Carbohydrates. The tongue wants a carbohydrate with a certain taste. The nose wants a carbohydrate with a certain smell. Aroma. But the body is simply saying, give me carbohydrates. There's a good cassava. You eat it, you are full. You're energetic. You get out, you continue with your programs. The budget will tell you. Now, let's look at now proteins. Proteins we have been putting in some bit of fish here, some bit of mukene here, some bit of this here. Now, it is going to 300 a month. Is there another way of getting proteins? Yes, good enough. For every solution literally under the sun, options do exist. But what you need is proteins. What you look for, accommodation. What you need is education. But there's a whole range you can choose from.
Beautiful, beautiful, Charles. And you've put it quite well.
Yes.
Yes, it's not just about cassava and chapati.
Correct.
But it cuts across.
Get the value that you are looking for. How do I get that value now? And forfeit a bit of the other things to do with image, respect, honor, and all those kind of things. And just say, no matter what, I'm getting proteins. The children are okay. You move away from all those other things and you are getting your beans. You get your cow, your soya. And in the taste of about cow peas, very rich protein, but the taste is different from fish.
That's a good one. Mr. Msoke here is an investor in education. He has schools, and I had someone, especially when kids were going back to school, and someone was trying to advise parents, take your children to schools you can afford.
Yes.
So, and I think it cuts across.
It cuts across. There's a nursery school of 1 million shillings. What are they learning? Writing and reading. There's a nursery school of 80 shillings. What are they learning? Writing and reading. But these ones are doing it while 3 of them are sharing an old form. The other one, each child is seated in some beautiful plastic chair with his own table. So for this comfort here, let's get 1 million from you. But the outcome is the other side. Reading, and writing.
Beautiful. Viewers, it is again the Business X-Ray. Now, we want you to be part of this discussion. Of course, Charles here is here to share with you knowledge and give you tips on how you can ride this storm. We have Mr. Msoke, seasoned businessman and a business leader, again, to share with you tips on how you can ride the storm as a business person and as a household. So we're going to flash that number, the WhatsApp number on screen. So for any question, comments, or suggestions, you're going to send them through, and then we'll be able to off-take those. Now, there's a very critical issue, Charles, and I want to start with you before I come to Mr. Msoke here. You know, in times like this, they are normally very good deals, very tempting deals to partake of, because you have so many people on fire. You know, there's a lot of land to pick. There's a lot of, some businesses might look at opportunity. They might want to expand at this moment because of some of those opportunities, especially those who are lucky probably to preserve some cash and that kind of thing. My question is, would you advise a business to aggressively expand in a time like this?
My answer is two-pronged. The first one is, if you are going to expand, first check where the resources for expansion are coming from.
Yeah.
If those resources are reserves that you have been putting somewhere in bonds or wherever, and now good deals have presented themselves because of the situation, tap into that. Because those resources are not going to affect the continuity of the cash cow. So you have these resources that you can tap into and continue to take advantage of market opportunities. That is fine. But also, I want to say this, that you can also consider expansion if you feel there is likely to be an improved market strength you are going to have by taking advantage of the exit of Uchumi, Nakumat. Carrefour said, let me expand during COVID time. Nakumat is collapsing. Uchumi is collapsing. I'm going to go to Uganda. I'm going to go to East Africa and dominate it. A rare opportunity of its kind. Overnight, Carrefour will always clap for COVID-19. They were not in East Africa. An opportunity presented itself. Carrefour would now reorganize all its operations wherever they were in Europe and just say, run to East Africa. A window of a lifetime has presented itself. Having said that, what are the other cautionary aspects? Be careful about a development investment like improving the look of the shop, repainting the shop for the sake of just repainting. The buyers are no longer coming to you because the beautiful look of the shop. The buyers are going to, where is it going to be cheaper? Delay those developments. Look after this customer. Assist him to cross this dark point. Don't add this cost and then you load them onto him. He is looking for, how do I cross this point? Remember, I told you the person has been used to some chapati. Yeah. Now they are going to cassava boiled with water and salt. No smell, no smell. Yes. Neutral smell. Yes. Please assist him to cross that moment, because you need him alive. Yeah. So long as he crosses with you, he's going to come back and you enjoy the glory again when you have crossed the dark spots together. And it's the time to build loyalty now. Correct. And then, of course, lastly, I want to also caution people that if you do not have resources that are less costly, this is not the time to go and disturb your banker to borrow money to try and cross this period. Yeah. Explore other sources of funding, including partnership with your suppliers. Yeah. Yeah. If you can build those and try and use as much of those to continue with your operations, delay adding a cost of 22% of credit and passing it to the customer. It's already hard enough. You are loading that again onto that, big trouble. Beautiful. Yeah. Viewers, we're going to take a very short commercial break. Very short indeed. And when we come back, we want to start tackling some of your comments and suggestions after this very short commercial break.
Hello viewers, it's again the Business Xray show, and today we're looking at high commodity prices and how these, of course, are affecting households and business community alike. But then the most important question is that how do you keep afloat? How do you deal? How do you manage, you know, the situation that we are contending with at the moment? So that's what we are discussing, and of course we've covered quite a number of areas. Charles, before we went for the break, I was talking about, you know, some of the opportunities that are presented or that present themselves during times of crisis. I think it's the Chinese who have a saying that in every problem there's an opportunity. And exactly. So there are those that are looking at it, you know, in that regard. But before we come into your comments, I've seen quite a number coming through, and I'll ask my producer again to put that number on screen, because we want to pick as many as possible for these gentlemen. We have the chairperson, Kasita, Mr. Musoke Nagenda, with us in the studio. He's a businessman himself and a business leader. And we have Charles, an expert in business development support with Enterprise Uganda. It has supported quite a number of businesses at different levels of operation. So I'm sure you are in very safe hands when it comes to dealing with some of these pointers. Mr. Musoke, I don't know what, you know, you have to speak to that, especially in regard to, you know, what businesses need to do at this particular point in time.
The other time I was saying that maybe if the resources are available,
yes,
you can try to diversify.
Yeah.
And mainly we are trying to call upon the business community. Please let us support associations.
Yes.
Because they try to clearly give you possible information.
Yes.
And clearly we try to identify opportunities. And even diversification is so tricky, given the fact there are several types of diversification. But let me give an example what I'm trying to develop currently.
Yes.
It's like in one of my companies, I have freelancers. So I saw that during the COVID-19 restriction time, they were so idle. And almost all my medical facilities are fully stocked. Yeah. So by the time the ministry told us, okay, now you're ready for operations, we could not utilize those drugs. So I'm trying to set up a facility which can work, or which can assist my employees and my other businesses there, at the same time the locality around. Yes. Yes. So to make it more multi-purpose, so indirectly I'm diversifying. Yeah. So diversification is so tricky. And currently I'm investing now largely in agriculture. But again here in Kampala, so by the most of the thing I use at home through my gardens. So indirectly I'm cutting my costs. You find now it's so rare. You know, I was staying in Kanyanya. So but I had to shift to Mukono. Because I have in Mukono, I have a bigger space of land. So in that, I make sure that almost whatever you use home, I can just get from the garden. Secondly,
you grow your carbohydrates.
Yes. What did I say? Secondly, nowadays we are packing the tea. Yes. You know, with this poison issue, by then the lecture it's saving. You know, I used to buy breakfast for 10 in Kampala, but nowadays I come with my breakfast. So I'm saving that 10. So now I'm transferring it to fuel. Yes. And then now, I've seen colleagues now even packing food. So indirectly it's saving. And so what other businesses are doing, that even they pack for the owner and even the employees. So the employee will be very comfortable at your shop when you know that expense for food is covered. But it will be so easy if you already diversified and you are getting it from the garden. So we are supposed to be somehow so like, you know, like Focus It. We have researchers, we have consultants, we have we have put a special technical desk, mainly which has those people like the consultants, researchers, to make sure that our traders can access, but members can access that information at a free cost. But for these ones who are not members, they can pay something. And then even we can avail investment opportunities because we work closely with the Uganda Investment Authority. They have also research which they have done, so we can clearly advise not to rush into diversifying and you incur losses. But mainly, I wanted to emphasize that even we need to change the way we operate. You know, we're engaging the landlords and tell them you are now increasing rent at this tricky time when we are just recovering. So now some buildings are empty.
Yeah.
So what have the traders done? They're trying now to boost the metropolitan area. And by the way, when you ask them, how is business that side? Actually, now this side is better. Just go to Kasangati. Now there is no one who can come from Gayaza to come here to Mutasa to buy a mobile phone. Everything is available. So we need to coordinate so well with associations to know how business is trading because it's so dynamic. So the moment you say, for me, I'm used to being to Mutasa, and now just know that even the tax park was closed, and already someone to Kansanga, no Kasangati, rent is somehow fair and affordable, and you are footing 5 millions. So there is a problem there. You cannot survive.
Thank you, Mr. Musoke. Gentlemen, I know our time is really, taking us a little at astronomical speeds. Now, I have quite a number of questions that have come through. I want us to now start looking at them. Charles, I have a question for you here. Gina Cole is watching from New York. She's saying, please talk about the importance of enterprise risk management for businesses and to some extent households in these trying times. Risk management. Risk management.
First of all, you need to understand the entire product delivery process of your enterprise or your business.
Yes.
And then in there, you can begin to see which areas do I have direct control of potential unforeseen challenges. Then you put in systems to handle that. That's when you can put an askari. That's when you can put in aspects to do with the reporting time and departure time and all those kind of things. But there are some of the things you will then discover that some of this could happen without your ever being prepared.
I get you.
Outsource those to insurance. So you now begin to appreciate that insurance indeed has got a place that it occupies. Because even during COVID, even during high prices, there are those things. The other day we saw a truck was burning. It burned and it was burning with fuel. Somebody struggles to bring in high-cost fuel, much as he's selling at a higher price. His margins are lower. Now it has even burnt. But that could have been covered by an insurance.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mr. Musoke, I have someone here is asking, thank you so much for hosting Charles Ochichi. The leader from Kasita. Did you say Kasita covers the whole country? Do they cover restaurants and the hotel industry as well? Someone is asking.
Yes, because you know Kasita has several sectors and through those leadership. And where we haven't yet covered it, we are making several MOUs to make sure that whoever is in business is fully catered for.
Okay, good. Charles, someone here is saying, personally I've been building my house to run away from rent and save some money. Now building materials have skyrocketed. Fortunately, after I had roofed and fixed windows and doors. So he wanted to halt construction. What do you say?
Wanted to halt the construction.
Construction for now.
Yeah, it is not a bad thing to halt the design that you had in mind. Remodify that design. Accelerate to put any kind of closure that you can make and shift from where you are paying that rent. Okay. The rent you are paying right now could complete that house to a situation where it is habitable. Not necessarily to the design you wanted under normal circumstances, but you are going to start saving the rent you have been paying. But the rent that you are saving is trying to make the place habitable.
Beautiful. So again, someone is asking, I would like to ask Mr. Charles, I'm a medical worker, particularly a lab technician, but I want to go into self-employment. I humbly ask for his advice. One, is it the right time?
There is no right time for anything. All you need to ask yourself, how can I get customers? How can I get into business and get people to start buying? Because in business, it is being able to deliver the first solution until a buyer gets it. That matters. If even during this time here, people are still coming to check for malaria, check for what, and you can start a laboratory, start it.
Good.
In other words, a beginner should never look for an ideal way of starting. Start where you are with what you have and start improving from there. Wherever that fellow is located, he can put a lab somewhere. If he cannot even do that, he can team up with somebody with a clinic and say, please, you have a clinic, I can come and run your laboratory. And you'll have taken off from there.
Beautiful.
The beginning is always rugged, but that is almost the story of every great story of an enterprise.
Now, Mr. Msoka, I have someone here saying, some businesses got opportunities, others threats during the pandemic. How best can someone or do those businesses prepare themselves for such uncertainties? It's basically asking about how to prepare for uncertainties in business or crises like this.
In sure, I think Charles even answered that before in his submission. Because you find that we managers, there are some challenges which can be under your control and beyond external maybe factors. So insurance is very key. What we have done as Kasita, we have partnered up with Uganda Insurance Association to make sure that our members can easily access insurance. Secondly, we sensitize the instance of insurance because now part of the costs of operation in business, because we have seen business premises getting fire, property destroyed, and a lot, theft, and a lot, so more. So we thought that partnering with the Uganda Insurance Association, our members can clearly access better benefits. And secondly, you know, Uganda business community, we have a stronger bargaining power. So when we are together, we are stronger. So we have a good bargaining power with the Uganda Insurance Association.
Beautiful. Someone is saying, good afternoon. Can you please tell what goes on with the TIN number? Someone wants an education on that. What are you supposed to do after getting it? Are you supposed to pay monthly, yearly, or what? Mr. Msoka, I think that is for you.
Thank you. A TIN number is a tax identification number. It mainly, it eases your tax relationship with your relationship with Uganda Revenue Authority. So it shows that you are eligible to paying taxes. So even it's like when you are above 18, you know, in our strategy of expanding the tax base, we told you, why isn't it mandatory whoever is 18 to access a TIN number? And then we have a challenge. If you have got a TIN number and you're not in position to pay taxes, how can we assist you to be in position to pay taxes? Because we thought that is a very good strategy of expanding the tax base.
Great. Charles, I have someone here saying, in many times businesses failed back in their home district, and I think she also has a challenge whereby every relative flocks in seeking for assistance. I think she runs a food retail shop. So what advice would you give me in order to see that my profit are coming in? I don't know whether you're picking. She has a retail shop, but every other day a relative comes in once
so,
and that.
And that's what we covered on earlier on. We said before you can put a price, you need to have put in all the expenses into what it takes to produce a plate of food. You've handed too many plates to relatives.
Yes.
Please load them in and see to what extent you can now put a price that will make you still make a profit despite having given so many plates to relatives.
Yes.
If you find that that's not possible, then ask yourself, how do I look after many relatives who are coming for free food? You now make a decision and say, until I have seen my declared profit, and I'm going to put only 10% of my declared profits into charity. Have a budget for charity. Limit yourself to that budget. Even yourself, should you take food, you should be able to pay it. If not, it should be limited to the charity limit of 10%. If you don't do that and you're just good-hearted, get out of business and go and do some charity somewhere and get people now who will be giving you money for your donations, running a good charitable farm, feeding babies and feeding orphans and all those kind of people. You know,
a bit related to that, Charles.
Yes.
Linda here says, us with retail shops, we are running out of business because as per the rent, no more profits due to high prices of household items. This goes to Enterprise Uganda. What advice would you give a typical retail shop operator?
A typical retail shop must first and foremost establish what your profits currently are in light of the high prices of what you are selling. Now, if your profits have fallen from maybe $500,000 per month to now 300,000 per month, it is a fall of about 40%. Go to your own spending budget and start being frank and say, where we're getting money to spend has gone down. Can we also now go and reduce accordingly? Reason being is, don't kill the business. Reduce the luxury this end so that this business will continue to look after you. If you don't, you are going to kill this enterprise and you'll have zero completely this end. You'd rather go with a reduction than going to a nil.
Beautiful.
Because that nil is it can be a possibility.
It can be bad as well. So I have Oliver Namukasa. This is for you, Mr. Msoke. He's saying, how do I join Kasita? I have a small agro-tourist business in Rakai.
Joining Kasita, we are simplifying. Also, we are going so digital. By the way, I wanted to chip in Charlie's question. Also, the business can invest into this digital era. Now we are changing our platform of Kasita by availing free space for our members to use that digital market at a free cost. So through that, even you can change. You can reduce on the rent expenses. Where you see that the business cannot survive, please leave that promise. I had a colleague during the lockdown. What he did, he decided to shift all the stock to his place, and then he started to do deliveries at home. So using his personal car. So later, he was convincing his customers, but even I can add you some agro products. So before he was selling phones, so he added on tomatoes, bananas. Now totally has left the electro business. He's into supplies and he's surviving. Now what he has added on is like almost all like the supermarket products, sugar, groceries. So and he's surviving. So joining Kasita is something so simple. You just go to our website, everything is so clear. The payment, the membership, you can be digital. Alternatively, as I told you, we are totally covering the whole country. We are activating all our structures through major towns. We activated with Enterprise Uganda in Imbarara, and then Wakiso, Mukono. We have been moving them so closely. And what is so interesting in the business community, they love the lectures and the sensitization sessions from Enterprise Uganda. So we thought that Kasita, now we want to show our relevance to the business community. And now paying, it differs. We have corporate companies also. So the corporate, somehow they pay bigger, and then for the ordinary member, he pays 74,000 for ordinary membership. But that one, it has other benefits. It's like, you know, we bill out our members. Like when someone is when is admitted in hospital, we can at least try to see as an association how can we meet some bills.
Support.
So it has hospital cash on that membership. So if there is no hospital cash, someone can pay just 50,000 to be a member of Kasita.
Beautiful, beautiful. Charles, I have someone, it's called Dramani Vitali. He's a businessman in Kampala. He's saying I've picked one issue from Mr. Charles and Chairman Kasita about formalizing business. I've registered business, but there are so many other colleagues who are living in fear of registering business because of fear of taxes. What advice do you give such business people? And they're bigger number in Kampala City.
Sure.
The first advice is that registering your enterprise has got a lot of benefits in terms of business partners. There are certain business partners that could be your big market, but to work with them, they need you to be formalized. Now you ask yourself, the business opportunity the other side that I'm trying to sacrifice, to what extent is that opportunity I'm losing a big issue compared to the taxes that I'm trying to avoid? But number two, I also want them to know that in terms of taxes, taxes are premised on profit.
Sure.
Not just the volumes of sales you've made. You can have large sales, but if you have your records clearly made, you'll discover that the taxes are such a very, very small portion of your sales. So please do not be scared of the word taxes. Imagine that the 33% or 30% bang on the sales. What are the expenses? Get those records clear.
Yeah.
Taxes are on net profit. If you get that one right, don't fear taxes.
Beautiful.
And then, as I said, we are losing a lot of opportunity. Growth opportunity is on formalized enterprise.
Yeah. Still with you, Charles. I have Mr. Okwet from Hoima. He said, thank you for the show. How can a low-income earner manage his stock have funds to set up a long-term asset like a housing unit or rentals?
Start with securing land. Or whichever piece of land that you have, check whether in the neighborhood there can be people who can start renting it. Put a structure that represents your abilities today and go with the income associated with that structure.
Okay.
Once you start getting that income, can you begin saving a lot of it for you to start improving that structure? Kiswa, where I got a piece of land when I was in Nairobi, used to go at 4 million shillings a plot of land. 4 million shillings a plot of land. Today, it's going at 300 million shillings a plot of land.
Sure.
Just 20 years later.
Yeah.
Which kind of investment can you get anywhere in the globe that can give you such multiplication?
No, yeah.
Almost 100%, 100 times. So 100 times is 10,000%. Impossible. Impossible.
Indeed.
So please do not be driven by people who have put up some double-storied buildings and then say, I can't afford. People have started where they are and development has found them there, and they are now enjoying that opportunity for those early decisions they made.
Good. Mr. Msoke, I have someone here is asking, how can someone start a small business, especially in a situation like this? What kind of nitty-gritty, simple advice can you give someone?
Anyway, starting a business, it depends on the opportunities available. But if you don't have capital, it differs. You can start business even without capital. So it's like you can use the small available resources. Let me give you an example. When I was at university, I used to wash cars for my comrades who could afford to buy cars.
Yes.
So through that, I started my small business, and then I expanded. And then when I was at school, I started with Central and schools. Those are high-class schools.
Yes.
It's like I was the chinyozi that side and the photo man.
Okay.
So, after our economic status.
I need to tell Tolina, she's a good friend.
Changing. I decided, how can I survive in St. Lawrence? So I used to be a chinyozi. So there are some things we can do small and expand. Secondly, like we did a project with Uganda Police here in Katre, where we are trying to teach these street guys who used to grab phones, what, by doing some snacks. So with small capital, we are availing. Even in Kasita now, we have special packages which can assist business startups. But it's not, I cannot advise anyone that start business on borrowed money. It's just a matter of utilizing the available opportunities and even your relationship with even the locality, your friends, because the available market is your friends and relatives. There is a lady I assisted in Machinde. She used to move around washing clothes in homes because sometimes people fear to employ house girls. So I told her, what is your problem? No, I want to make a dry cleaner establishment. So we gave him some money, like a charity to boost her. And now she's so happy. Now she has expanded. But it doesn't mean that you're supposed to use a lot of money. It's perception. But the perception is very key when you're starting up a business. Whatever you think, you can start small and then normalize. But then now, like in Uganda, people are operating without even no more procedures. So through that, you can start and then survive.
Beautiful. Now, I have quite a number of people here who are asking for the contacts of both of you. Mr. Musoke and Charles again, because they would like to keep the discussion on. I think we can share that as we near the end of our interface today. Right. I'll start with you, Mr. Musoke. How do people get in touch with you if they want you?
Currently, I try to restrict my contacts, but when you come to Kasita Secretariat, you can be available for an appointment.
Yeah.
That's briefly maybe what I can say.
Beautiful. Charles, how do people get to you, to Enterprise Uganda as well?
Enterprise Uganda is on plot number 38 Lumumba Avenue. And I'm reachable on 0772 699 808.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mr. Musoke, your last word.
My last word is that the business community is supposed to be stronger. Yeah. And please let us utilize associations. To be more clear, the Secretariat for Kasita is on Royal Complex, Market Street. Yeah. We have an admin. If you want to meet me, you seek for an appointment. Because, you know, sometimes people feel, hello, Musoke, I want to see you even at night. Even at night. I said I can meet you, but because of our busy schedule, the fact is that we meet everyone on appointment. But I want to assure the public that we have a very strong working team we are working with, that all your challenges can be handled by Kasita related to business. So please let us utilize. By the way, members who are not registered, their services we offer free of charge, like those consultations. If you want to join business, just come to Kasita. We can teach, we can sensitize you, and we can give you all the procedures. Now, like registering your business name, it's just online. TIN number, it's all online, and people are being cheated. And all those services are available at Kasita Secretariat. And then what we have done now in Mukono, we have a business community which you can easily access. In Mbarara, we launched it. It's called Mbasita, but officially we are going to launch it. And then in Wakiso, we have a Wakiso business community. We are heading to northern Uganda, Gulu and Arua, to make sure that all the people who want to access this vital information can clearly access it at ease.
Beautiful. Charles, wrap this for us.
Right. First of all, crises are part of life, and they will come to an end. The most important thing is each time there is a crisis, shout and see what can be done by the bigger leadership of the country, your association. But after that, concentrate on what you can do as a person.
Beautiful.
Because when this one's over, another one is coming.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charles, and thank you, Mr. Musoke. Dear viewers, that's all we had for you this evening. I'm sure you've picked quite, you know, some good pointers. We don't take your participation and audience for granted. We've seen the comments and the questions that have come through. Quite, they really give us, they are refreshing that actually you're watching and picking very good topics here. Thank you. Once again, I've been your host, Charles Boji. Until next time, have a good evening and God bless.